Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. You know what the absolute biggest roadblock is for most of us wanting to go solar? It's the batteries. They are crazy expensive, often costing way more than the solar panels themselves. For years, the story has been, want a robust solar setup? Better open your wallet for a massive battery bank. Well, today we're flipping that script. Based on some fantastic real-world installation data from InfoGuide NG, we're presenting a brilliant technical life hack. We're going to walk through a comprehensive step-by-step guide to building a hybrid solar system that works entirely without a battery. Let's just tackle the elephant in the room right away. The question everybody asks, is it actually possible to run heavy, power-hungry household appliances, like a massive air conditioner, directly from the sun without a giant battery bank taking up half your garage? Well, the short answer is absolutely yes. But to pull this off, you need a very specific setup, some precision wiring, and airtight safety protocols. Okay, here's our roadmap for how we're going to get there. We'll start with the batteryless solar setup, then wire your solar panels, build the safety distribution box, connect the hybrid inverter, and finally, do a system startup and testing. All right, Section 1, the batteryless solar setup, or as I like to call it, harnessing the sun directly. The real magic here comes down to something called grid tie mode. This setup is what lets us totally bypass the need for a battery. Think of it like this. Instead of hoarding power and a battery for later, your inverter works in real time. It grabs that raw, blazing energy straight from your solar panels and funnels it right into your home's electrical panel. But what if a thick cloud rolls over? No problem. The system seamlessly, and I mean instantly, leans on the utility grid to make up the difference. You get all the amazing cost-saving benefits of solar during the day without showing out thousands for batteries up front. Moving right along to step 2, wiring your solar panels. This is the muscle of the whole operation. Now, for this specific real-world build, we're using a beast of a 5-panel array, all wired in series. We've got one 585-watt bifacial panel teamed up with 4 550-watt panels. To wire them in series, it's pretty straightforward. You just connect the positive end of one right to the negative end of the next, stepping up that voltage like a ladder. But listen closely, because here is the absolute golden rule. You must verify polarity with a multimeter before making any permanent connections. Meticulously check the back of those PV panels. Getting this backwards can be an incredibly costly mistake. Oh, and make sure every single panel is properly grounded. Safety first, right? And when you're connecting these high-voltage DC solar cables, you'll be using MC4 connectors. You really can't skimp on quality here. Make sure they're crimped perfectly, and when you push them together, you want to actually hear that satisfying click. That little click is your guarantee of a secure, waterproof seal. It is literally your first line of defense against rain, humidity, and whatever else Mother Nature throws at your roof. Okay, step 3, the safety distribution box. If the panels are the muscle, this box is the ultimate shield for your system and your home. This setup is actually quite brilliant because it logically splits our safety protocols right down the middle. On one side, we are protecting your house from the wild, fluctuating direct current, the DC energy coming off your hot roof. We handle that with a 25-amp DC breaker and a Type 2 surge protection device. Then on the other side, we're securing the steady AC energy coming from the grid with a 40-amp AC breaker, its own AC surge protector, and an over-under voltage protector to handle any utility spikes or dips. It's like 2 completely separate electrical worlds, both perfectly shielded. Now, looking at the load side, which is the electricity actually flowing into your living room and kitchen, you're going to use a 40-amp RCBO. Notice that 30 milliamp rating? That exact sensitivity spec is completely non-negotiable. It's the precise, scientifically required threshold to detect tiny electrical leaks and trip the circuit fast enough to save a human life from a lethal shock. So definitely don't mess around with that one. Here's another absolute must inside that distribution box. Ferrule connectors. Whenever you're dealing with stranded copper wire, you have to use ferrules. By crimping a tiny metal ferrule onto the stripped end of the wire, we keep all those little rogue copper strands bundled incredibly tight. This gives you a super solid connection in the breaker terminals, preventing electrical arcing. Basically, it eliminates the fire hazards caused by stray wires. Because let's be real, nobody wants their cool DIY solar project to turn into a house fire. Moving to step 4, connecting the hybrid inverter. This is the brains of the whole operation. Your hybrid inverter is essentially the traffic cop directing energy between your roof, the grid, and your home. You'll see specific terminals for grid, load, and PV input. Now, even though we are building a batteryless system today, Wiring your home directly into the load side or backup terminal is just a genius move. Why? Because it completely future-proofs your setup. If you decide to add a battery down the road, your system is already perfectly wired for it. No major rework needed. Also, don't forget our grounding rule. The inverter body, surge protectors, and panels all need to tie into a common grounding bus bar, which runs straight into a dedicated rod deep in the earth. Next up is installing this tiny little device called a CT sensor, or current transformer. You usually pop this onto the grid side, specifically terminals 5 and 6 on the inverter. This little guy's main job is managing what's called zero export. Basically, it stops your inverter from illegally pumping unused solar power back into the city utility grid if your local laws forbid it. Think of it as the inverter's eyeball on the grid. It constantly watches your home's energy consumption, so the system knows exactly how much solar power it needs to harvest at any given second.
All right, finally, step 5, system startup and testing. We built the muscle, we built the shield, we wired the brain. It's payoff time.
Here's how you actually turn this thing on. Before you flip a single switch, grab your voltage tester. You need to verify that the incoming AC grid is sitting at about 230 volts, and your DC solar array is pumping down right around 217 volts. Once that checks out, power up the inverter, go straight into its menu, and manually set the battery type to no battery. This tells the brain exactly what kind of system it's running. Now, here's a massive pro tip from real-world installers. Be patient. When you flip those breakers to on, do not freak out if your TV doesn't instantly turn on. The hybrid inverter has to run some really complex internal safety checks, and it can take up to 10 full minutes for it to safely synchronize its output with the utility grid. So just breathe, give it 10 minutes. And then the magic happens. Once the system clicks active, you get to look at the display screen and watch it all come together. You can actually see it running a heavy-duty air conditioner, mostly on raw sunlight from your roof. It just pulls whatever solar it can, smoothly fills in the gaps with grid power, and keeps that zero export locked down. Right before your eyes, you've massively slashed your reliance on the grid. By using this really clever grid tie configuration, this whole setup completely rewrites the rule book for DIY solar. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that you do not need a $10,000 battery bank to start tapping into clean energy right now. So, looking at your own house, your own energy bills, if that massive battery cost was suddenly out of the way, what heavy appliance would you start running straight from the sun tomorrow?